welcome. Thank you for coming.
Time.
Today is the 5th of October. Time is
6th.
6th of October. My watch is off. Thank you. So it's now 7:36 in the evening, Town Hall Room 119. And this will be our final regularly scheduled meeting for this session, unless something special comes up, calling for a special meeting. We will not meet again until possibly after the election. So, anybody up for re-election?
No.
How do we find out?
It's every 2 years.
Is it every 2
So
years?
if you've only been on 1 year,
yeah.
then you're not up for re-election.
Right, you're probably next year.
You would know by now if you.
Yeah, you would have
I
been
was on
notified.
education last year, so this year's this. I should be okay. I'll ask.
So, I did put out an agenda, and the first item on the agenda is the swap shop subcommittee. Now, right now, I'm the only one here who was at the swap shop subcommittee meeting. So that kind of narrows that down pretty fast. Okay. Jeff unfortunately became ill, so he was unable to attend that particular meeting. I sent out what we put together very briefly, quickly from that meeting. I hope you've all received it and had a chance to read it. I'd like to throw that out onto the floor to get some feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. Comments, criticisms, objections? Lottie, you have something you'd like to say?
Yes, having read it, I'm going back to Frank a few meetings ago. I don't think you can enforce almost all of it, or a few of them, especially like the loitering it's going to get. I don't know, I'm not there much, but I think there will be a few people that might take advantage, and hopefully it's not too much more. But again, there's no authority that you could go to, I don't think. I mean, it's kind of a dilemma. Because it's all volunteer too. So.
It's an all-volunteer operation.
Yeah.
I mean, I sent out also the statement about the charge to the Advisory Committee on Sustainability, item 6, facilitate coordination between DPW and the swap shop to continue the successful operation of the swap shop. And that's about all I've been able to find that defines at all their role in the swap shop, and that was adopted by the Board of Selectmen, so I'm fairly certain that the swap shop serves at the pleasure of the Board of Selectmen. So that would be whatever. I mean, I know that Patrick in the past has brought up the issue about governance and that sort of thing, and to my understanding that is whatever, if you will, the chain of command. The enforceability, it's up to them. I mean, it's their baby. I can't, we don't have the authority to tell them that they have to do it a certain way. We can make suggestions, recommendations, things like that. And that was the spirit under which this list of, this RTM swap shop review was put together. But if anybody thinks it's gone too far in certain ways or hasn't gone far enough, then that's why we're meeting here tonight. So Richard, do you have anything that you'd like to say?
I'm happy with the swap shop.
Okay.
Okay, I probably go once a week. My wife, generally when she does the garbage, goes 3 days a week. So everything's not perfect there, but I'm happy with it. I think various recommendations like parking out on Ledge Road, I don't think is big enough for a Saturday and is dangerous. And then once you open up Ledge Road, you open up to residents not from Darien. Everybody will pick up real fast because park on Ledge Road. So it'll be more of a problem. I think the people who run the swap shop feel that they're volunteers, so they go there not to tell people what to do. And two, they're not the police, so they don't feel enforcement. I do know if someone stays too long, they'll gently say to them, can you move on? I know there's a reluctance on their part to direct traffic, because if there's an accident, then,
They don't want to be caught up in a liability.
But I think, I'm happy with the swap shop. I think more, if there's some real specific issues, I think if you were, and the people who wrote this letter were to meet with Del City, maybe much of it could be resolved.
Well, we did have a meeting,
Right.
and Dossetti was there, okay, and, a number of things were brought up in that meeting, one of which was the littering. And, I asked them straight out, have you considered, just saying to people, you've been here for a while, do you think, you should ask them to move on? And in that particular case, he said, no, I'm not gonna ask them to do that.
No, there's a reluctance to approach people and tell them to leave. I mean, so I think enforcement, as written here, would be difficult. I mean, to go in and have a large item and now tell a volunteer that they have to watch that item while they get an appointment to come from Ledge Road to pick it up. I don't think it's, I think a lot of this is not practical. That's.
All right.
But
Is there any recommendation you think is reasonable to make? Other than everything's okay as the way as it is?
No, I think it would be beneficial if you sat down with Del City and not a large group of people.
Oh, you think more of a one-on-one?
More than one-on-one, and talked about some things that really do trouble you, and maybe you could come to some understanding, because I do know from the first time go-around, they are wearing, I guess, identification now.
They are.
So that.
And I think that got through.
And some are a little aggressive in coming over. I'll fit that. But on an overall basis, I'm happy with this one now. I pick up stuff, and I'm now donating stuff back that my grandchildren have had fabulous time with, and I donate it back. And,
Recycle it?
Recycle it, so.
Okay. Fair enough. Frank, anything you want to add?
No, I think that for a service that we pay very little money for, we get way more than our money's worth.
Oh.
I think it's definitely not perfect, but I think the complaints I get about the swap shop from constituents
Yes.
are from a small number of people who are very frequent flyers, and I respect their issues, and they have legitimate things to say. But overall, I think it is serving the vast majority of the town in a very effective way. Certainly effective in terms of material movement, and effective in terms of being cost effective. So, like Richard, I think overall, a lighter touch suits us best. You're never gonna be able to perfectly reconcile the needs, wants, desires, preferences of a whole wide spectrum of people who are bringing or getting free stuff with the volunteers who are administering that. And it's I think the only thing that really concerned me personally was if people perceive that it's not fair, then they might stop participating, right? Or if people perceive they're not being treated courteously, then they will stop participating, and that would be problematic. But it sounds like by identifying the volunteers and by kind of reminding them kind of some of the basic, do's and don'ts, I think we've addressed some of the key issues. So it's not perfect, but I'm very grateful for what they're doing.
Okay. Eric, would you have anything to add?
No. All right. Well, that's because it's like we could sit here and debate it, and what could we do, right? Like, there's no teeth behind any of this, and
Great.
and I was just thinking, if the setup of the swap shop was different, right? If we had a better space, would that solve all the problems? It would solve some of the problems, but not all the problems. So. It's safety's one issue, and then the courtesy between helping each other out, and that's another issue, right? And so it's all a big issue, and we could send this to the Board of Selectmen, and that could be it, right? They could just acknowledge it and say thank you, and that's it. And will they act on it? I would guess.
Yeah, I've sent a number of things, not related to the swap shop, to the Board of Selectmen. And I've never really gotten any response, one way or another, even an acknowledgement that I sent the email, much less, a specific answer to what I was pointing out. So, I think that's how it would be received. It would be received as something we're just submitting as suggestions, and I think it would be digested, and that would probably be.
Yeah, but having said all that, we as a committee should put forth our best foot to recognize all these items, and if we can't do anything about it, we can't do anything about it. But no one can come back to us and say, why aren't you looking at this?
I mean, at the very simplest case, the swap shop rolls under Public Works. Public Works is under Ed Gentile,
Yes.
who I think we all think incredibly highly of. I will now miss an opportunity to plug for Ed. And Ed is under the executive branch, being the Board of Selectmen. And Ed and Dan Dulcetti said they're not going to call the police on people who are not following the recommendations. Like, that's the simplest bit. So we can make all the recommendations we want. And I think, again, what we've said to them is to remind them kind of the basic do's and don'ts of how to approach people, and for the clients, how to kind of behave in a very concise way. But beyond that, that's all we can do.
Yeah.
No, I think it's perfectly appropriate. We should be commenting on it because it's a real benefit to Public Works and to the town. So I think we're in the right place. Most of the issues around it are soft issues of etiquette, courteousness, and making it a good environment. We basically said, do that. Make it a better environment. And that's our contribution. I think that's fully aligned, and I think that's helpful that we're commenting on it, but that we're commenting on it and saying there are a lot of soft issues here. Let's try to make them better, without trying to worry about enforcement, because the enforcement piece, it's not, you can't enforce courteousness. So it's like let's get the general rules out there of how this is intended to operate, and then let's push it in the right direction.
And most of the time, that'll work for most of the people.
And it will never work for 100%. But I think we're making a positive contribution.
The people who it's going to work for don't need to be told that it's going to work for them. The people who it's not going to work for,
There's got to be
even if you tell them they're not going to do it.
There's got to be a margin.
Yeah.
There's got to be a margin.
About 1 out of 100, that's who we're going for.
The 1 in 100.
The mythical undecided voter.
There you go. Jackie?
I mean, I guess I agree with what everyone has said. I do think there's the safety issue of people crossing the road, but it didn't sound like there was anything we could do in terms of putting in a sidewalk or putting in a signal.
Yeah, I don't think a signal is feasible. We did bring it up. Ed was at the meeting when we
Right.
met, and he kind of said, he kind of gave a maybe kind of reaction.
Well, he seemed to suggest that there was something that would have to be like a landing
Yeah,
platform.
there's a pad on one side, but there'd have to be a pad on the other side.
Right.
He left me with the impression, it's like, you know what? I'll think
Yeah.
about that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
tell you I'm going to think about it, but
Right.
I'm going to think about
So you
it.
can't
But at the same time, in sidewalks, speaking from experience, it has a lot of higher priorities than creating a sidewalk across the ledge road where one pad is literally on a path to nowhere.
Right.
'Cause it's not going to build a whole other sidewalk all the way to Norotan Avenue
Right.
or the other way.
Although I will say that in my capacity as a parent, not as an RTM member, I've been dealing with some school busing issues, and there is no sidewalk on Ledge, so those kids get a bus because that road is not safe. So there is the possibility that making the road safer all the way around from the swap shop to up past those houses to Norotan Avenue, there might be some sort of safe town.
I'm super pro sidewalk.
Right.
But the priority of the crosswalk from across the ledge
Understood.
is
Not a highway.
much lower
Understood, yes.
than anything else is doing.
Is
But I'd love to see
there,
more sidewalks throughout the whole downtown area.
is there like are there signs that like is there something that we can do to?
Well, that's normally what's put up in a crossing, is that there is a sign with pedestrian crossing, state law, yada, yada, you have to respect this pedestrian crossing. A lot of people don't, they go flying right through it
Right.
regardless.
Yeah.
I've had that experience, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, there's that relatively new crosswalk on Tokenique Road just south of the highway You know, if you're walking from the center of town down
Yep.
Tokenie Road,
Yep.
you cross under the highway.
Yes.
And then it crosses over to the opposite side and
Yes.
you walk the rest of the way.
That was part of that whole sidewalk
It was exactly. We were,
project.
who had it was Bert Van Stoepnagel.
Okay.
Had the best line of the entire project, where he says, it was like the song, "You left me just when I needed you most." Right? It ends right at the highway.
Right.
So,
Paige?
I did think the idea for some sort of a drop-off turnaround situation for people that just want to drop stuff off and get out is a good idea. Like in theory, I don't
Yeah, the
think
theory is good.
there's a lot of space there that's not for us to figure out. But I thought that was a good suggestion to like consider. And it might free up some of the congestion. I too go a lot and I love the way it works. I'm very happy with it. I saw the new jacket, vest things, and it was funny because there was a woman there that was not wearing a vest and she kind of acted like she worked there.
Yeah.
I think she was just maybe a little crazy. But at least I knew that the crazy lady wasn't one of the people that worked there. So that was good to know. So, yeah, I think it's amazing. I hope it never shuts down. I use it a lot.
No, I don't think there's any interest in shutting it down, hardly.
Great.
I think the interest here was just,
Make it better.
yeah, make it a little bit more customer
Safe and
friendly, if you
customer-friendly.
will.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's more, honestly, an education issue and maybe using the, like, communication to the town to like let people know. Like once I listened to that podcast, I was like, oh, okay, that's how it works. And then you don't get like offended by that. You're just like, this is how it works. That's what they're doing. This is
Yeah.
the point of it all, is to recycle. You
Right,
know?
right.
So,
Yeah, I sent out, I think, the link for the Vimeo for their meeting that they had as a follow-up to when we met with the two people. What was it, Kathy and Dan, I believe their names were. And they were saying that they felt that they could do more to try and communicate to the community about the swap shop. I think trying to utilize, we have a person who's now working at Town Hall for communications, so I think they're going to try and employ that person to get more involved to help them get information out to the public about the swap shop. So try and heighten the awareness to the community at large about what they're doing there and why they exist and that sort of thing. Listening to all the feedback, it makes me kind of wonder, where do we want to go with this thing, okay? Because there are some things in here that are, I'll just say, maybe a little aggressive, okay? And with two of the members who were part of the subcommittee not here tonight, I'm reluctant to, do anything with this right now myself. Does anybody have an opinion about that?
yeah, I would tend to agree on that.
Because, I'd really like to have, all parties that are interested in this be present and able to chime in on this before we take it anywhere further up the chain, so to speak.
So the problem with that is this is our last meeting.
Well, okay, it's the last meeting of this Public Works Committee,
Yes.
okay? I'm sure the Public Works Committee will continue after the elections, I'm fairly confident, okay? Under,
I'll back in.
with what members and leadership, that's to be determined.
Okay.
I will say this, though, about the parking on Ledge Road. There were several things that ran through my mind about it. I agree that it does raise some concerns about safety. But there are people that are already parking on Ledge Road that are coming to the swap shop. So it's not like if we put up a pedestrian crossing, we're going to invite all kinds of people. There's already people that are doing this, okay? So I'm thinking of it from that side, is, okay, should we be doing something to try and put some sort of safety measure in for those people that are parking on Ledge Road? So that's why that was there, okay?
I'd only make the point that the letter says to consider this.
Yes.
So it's really, it's kind of soft and it's like, think about it. You assess whether you think it's a good idea or not and whether it's feasible.
Yeah, and I chose that wording purposely, okay? Consider, that sort of thing. The other thing that occurred to me about getting in and out, so to speak, with, you mentioned about the loop drop-off idea, which was, Carrie, I think, had brought that up during the meeting. And this might be a little bit far out, but I think, if something could be organized, and maybe I should just stop right there, okay, to where, let's say in the early hours, you allow people to come in that have something to bring in.
Oh, and then it's pickup later.
Okay, and
Drop off in
you
the
just
air.
say to them, okay, are you here to drop off? Then, please, yeah, come in, drop off. And then at a certain point, you say, okay, you then open it up to everybody, okay? And that way, during certain hours, maybe the early hours of the day, those people who really want to bring something in and get in and out of there quickly, there's a policy, if you will, that
Right, that you can
could
only
be
drop
followed.
off during that.
Yeah, that people who are just interested to drop off can get that done
Yeah.
quickly early in the
Or
morning.
maybe not even a policy, but again, a communication to the community, like, hey,
Well,
this is
yeah,
what
that came up in the
happens with
meeting,
this
that came up
stuff.
in the meeting that
Come early or else it's
Dan-
gonna go in the bin.
Dan said that, he said, please come early if you want to drop
Right.
things
And I
off.
didn't even think of
And
that
I
until
didn't
he
know that
mentioned
either.
that. So I definitely think that.
Well, maybe we consider saying a little bit different way, try and, whatever, exert your communications to the community to encourage them to come in early. So
Exactly.
they can get their things dropped off
Yeah.
quickly and easily.
Yeah.
So, but but if you actually want to take something out, then you're gonna have to come back, right? That's sort of the thing. And
Well, no, I
that's
mean, for
true.
those people who are coming in and dropping off,
They just
once they've
drop.
dropped off and they're there, if they want to look around and see if there's something to take, they certainly could do that.
Okay.
Of course, that might, create some issues with other people. Oh, why don't I get in there and take a look? So,
It's just more or less encouraging the public
Yeah.
to drop off earlier in
Yeah, I
the
think it's
day
a
so that
communication
less
thing.
stuff ends up in the hopper. Right?
yeah, because they
That's the
said
goal,
that,
ultimately.
at the end of the day, whatever isn't gone out, it's going in. I was there not too long ago, just about 1 o'clock when they were shutting down. And sure enough, the guys were lined up there and there's the front loader. And they're like, come on. And it just all went.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I was gonna say, I think the biggest problem is on Saturday, in the morning,
Yeah.
they're not so crowded that people coming in and dropping off and people going in just to look.
Yeah.
It's really not that much of a problem. It's the 10 o'clock crowd.
The 10 o'clock crowd.
Yeah, where people tend to be out at 10 o'clock, kids are already dropped off for school
Or
and all
soccer or
that.
whatever.
And then Saturday, I think it just is overwhelmed. They were to a point where they didn't open on Saturday.
Right.
But
This
one of the
Saturday
problems
was-
is Saturday, yeah, they're just overwhelmed
Too much.
too much, and the physical space can't handle it.
I don't know.
So there's two things there. Then, obviously, if you can get there during the week, you'd be
Yeah.
much better off.
Perfect.
Okay? And if you can get there early in the morning,
Yeah, it's not much.
either way, weekend or during the week,
Yeah.
you're gonna be much better
Better
off.
for everyone.
So maybe they could do something silly like give incentives for coming at certain times. So if you do that, you get something, I don't even know,
Oh, an incentive.
some incentive to, I don't know what that.
Sourdough bread for.
Yeah, we're for
Have brakes on
profit.
swap truck.
I don't know what that, but just some incentive to get them early. Maybe you get credit, and at the end of the month, if you have X amount of credit, you could get a $5 off coupon. I don't know.
You get to have
All
lunch
right,
with
this
Ed.
isn't Walmart or Target here.
I'm just, so. And the parking on ledge, a solution there, if we're concerned about the safety, is just close down that parking.
I think, how do you enforce that though?
You plant trees. You just take away that parking.
Well, I'm
If
sure
it's
it's there for a reason. I think it
I'm
is
gonna
needed
guess it is,
today.
but I'm just saying if it's such a concern.
Well, on most days, after the swap shop is closed, there's 3 or 4 trucks parked on Ledge Road,
Okay.
which I assume are maybe town employees or something. So, I mean, it is used by town employees
Yeah.
also. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and it's clearly a parking area. I mean, it's an area
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
well used.
I really think it's a communication issue. Once I knew to go early, now I go early. It's great. Easy breezy.
Okay, so if we want to maybe stress something in a little bit different fashion than what the tone is of this, we would want to stress the communication issue.
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody kind of nodding on that. Okay, that's good. You know, I touched on atmosphere, but that's just a matter of, you know, as Jeff was saying earlier, courtesy. And I did, you know, have a follow-up conversation on the phone with Dan about the fact that, yeah, the volunteers need to be identified, and we have certainly seen something happen there. And then I think, again, communication would be to convey to the public that, you know, those are the people you really want to hook up with when you bring your things in. Okay, anybody else there who's looking at what you're bringing is not a volunteer, and I just, you know, you should be aware. You know, that would be maybe another key word here, awareness.
Awareness.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we touched on just perusing through the items. Again, that's a matter of courtesy and that sort of thing. You know, that's something they're gonna have to deal with on site. I mean, I can't help them there. You know, that's, again, that might be an issue of communication with the help from the person who's involved with town communications, that help them get that message out that, you know, everybody should be respectful of each other while at the site. Okay, storage, I brought up the issue of storage, only because there have been some comments about how the storage hut itself is really not storing all that much. Okay, that yes, there is some things in there, but it's not like the shelves are like overflowing and things are falling off the shelves or whatever. Of course, you wouldn't want that anyway, but it appears, and again, I don't know, this would have to be some sort of suggestion, but I'm just saying that I think they could periodically, you know, review what they are keeping, clear it out as often as makes sense, and then where feasible, you know, rather than having that front loader come in and just pick everything up at the end of the day and dump it, you know, maybe retrieve some of those items that were out on the tables and
I think they do that.
put them back for another day, you know?
I think they do.
I don't know, I haven't,
I've
you
seen
think
them
so?
do that at the end of
Okay.
the day, yeah.
Okay.
They like pack up everything that's outside, they go through it and decide what to.
Okay. So if I may summarize then, we feel that we should say something, but we don't feel that it should be quite as, if I will say, aggressive as what's in here. So what I'll pledge to do is come up a revised version with more softer language. You like that, Jeff? And put that back out. And then for those of you who return at the next reconvening of the Public Works Committee, you know, you can decide whether or not to pick up on it from there and carry
Speaking
it
of
forward or not.
incentives.
Say what?
Speaking of incentives, that's.
Yeah, that's gotta be
Incentive.
huge. That's gotta be huge.
Are you returning, Ralph? You're returning.
I'm
Are you
up for re-election, so, you know, I gotta get
Okay.
through that first. And
All right.
District 4 is one of the few districts that's actually competitive.
What?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
So is District 6?
Yeah.
There's
I
two.
think we got
Okay. I believe District 4 has 6 seats up for re-election, and there are 8 candidates.
Wow.
So once this meeting is over, I think you better start thinking about campaigning. Okay.
Today was the
You know, these might go a long way.
Statement.
You have an edge.
I'm gonna be out of town for the election. I need to vote with the,
You might be able to do an early,
Yeah.
an early write-in
Yeah,
vote or
alright.
whatever.
yeah.
You said,
Today was the deadline for those of us who are for election, as I am.
yeah,
The League of Women Voters every year.
Yes.
The Voters Guide,
yes,
to which candidates are invited to submit a short statement.
150 words.
Correct. So today was the deadline
Yes, sir.
for those who
words.
wanted to submit that.
What was the question? What question?
I think the single question,
What?
100 words is really not a lot,
Yeah.
was what do you
What
think
are?
the 3 most important issues in town are? And it's just really a prompt to say, no, like 3 issues. I mean, I could write a lot more about any one.
Yeah, right. So that gives you roughly 50 words per important issue.
Or, as I have done in the past, I did not do this time, you can simply disregard the question and make a 150-word statement about why you're a good candidate.
Okay, okay. I don't know if the League of Women Voters would approve of that, but
They will reprint whatever you write.
will they? Okay.
Now, I haven't tested that for the boundaries of that envelope.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on the agenda from this discussion, unless anybody else has anything they want to say about it. Okay. So all right, so the matrix, I'm going to put these two together, the matrix and the committee definition. We sent in our recommendations of our observations on both, and they were received well. I got several emails back. Thank you. I don't know if any of you have had the chance to look at the most recent Rules Committee meeting, but that project is a work in progress. So they're digesting what we had to say. They're trying to still get feedback from other committees as well. They pledged that the descriptions would be updated for the new members of the RTM coming in after the election. So that would be available to them, as well as the matrix. Okay, but that it still would be a work in progress even after that, because eventually, particularly the definitions, needs to be folded into the Town Code, Appendix B. Okay, it's an official part of the document, if you will. So I think they want to make sure that it's very refined and all agreed upon with the Rules Committee when that takes place, and that they're not ready yet to do that. But they do feel that there will be new information for the incoming RTM members after the election. Okay? So that's where that stands at this point. Just an update. FYI. Okay.
Ralph, thank you for your leadership on that. I think
Oh,
that has made
okay.
a big difference.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hanson Road Bridge. Yeah. Like we didn't have enough going on with Public Works. Now we have a bridge that's failed. I sent an email off to Ed. I cringed when I hit the send button because, like Frank was saying, to say he's a busy guy, I think is a huge understatement. But I am curious to know, when was that bridge built? Is that a bridge that's been there for 100 years, or is it a bridge that's more recent? I'm just curious to know. But apparently, yeah, that Stony Brook runs through Weber and Country Club north to south, goes underneath that bridge, and then continues along all the way down to whatever, Holly Pond.
It was constructed in
Gorham
1936
Thank you very much. There you go, 1936.
and last inspected in 2016.
So we're creeping up.
Happy 80th birthday.
So that's quite a long time.
It's 86 years.
So
It's older than me.
apparently that they thought that there was stronger footings underneath that bridge, but upon inspection, they're finding out that there really wasn't much of a footing there at all to begin with. And so the constant flow of water, and particularly with the huge storms that we've had, it just took it out. So they're proposing that we move forward with a design. This is strictly just the design phase for $169,000. So someone can come up with hopefully an engineering and a plan that would hold up maybe a little bit better than the bridge from 1936.
You can't complain about an 86-year-old bridge. I mean,
No, I
you got your money's
can't.
worth.
It's just the timing isn't the best.
never gonna be
Because we
good
have
time for
so
it.
many other things going on. That's the only thing. That's
Well, I know we could save $100 million real quick, but we're not going there tonight.
No, although you just did.
You're welcome.
So, my understanding is they put this now out as a bond, which kind of surprised me.
Just
for 169.
Just for the design fee?
Yeah. Yes, sir. That surprised me. I thought, here's the executive summary. The wording on this is a special appropriation. An appropriation is not a bonding, okay? But anyway, this is from Jennifer Charneski and Ed Gentile. Jennifer is the finance director, and of course Ed is Public Works. Special appropriation request for engineering design services from consultant for the replacement structure of the Hanson Road Bridge. Bridge over the Stony Brook River, located Hanson Road between the intersection Hummingbird Lane and Linda Lane. Has a span of 15 feet and 30 feet wide. Constructed 1936, I should have read. Was last inspected 2016. DPW crew noticed the Hanson Road Bridge defect cracking of the northwest corner of the bridge abutment, at which time we brought in a structural engineer to evaluate. The bridge currently safe to travel over and is being monitored on a regular basis. Temporary repair work to the brook channel to protect against additional scouring under the bridge footing was completed September 13th with approval of the local EPC. As recommended by our consultant, the town has placed barricades along for passing over the area. Where the deficiency is noted, DPW staff is prepared to move ahead quickly with design for the replacement, and the proposal from our consultant includes the full complement of services that will be required to develop bidding and construction contract documents. Timeline for delivery of a final design, approximately 9 months. Boy, that's a lot of designing.
Sounds long. I mean, I don't know much about bridges, but
Yeah, neither do I. Total cost to perform the study is $169,000. So,
any idea what the cost of the bridge fix will be?
That's a great
10 times that number?
if I recall from listening to the presentation to the Board of Selectmen, he's guesstimating 1.7 mil.
Yeah, you were about right.
So this is just the beginning of a rather costly proposition, but we really don't have a choice. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We really don't have a choice. I'd like to vote.
so does anyone want to make a motion for the resolution that we appropriate $169,000 for the study of a new build plan for the Hanson Road Bridge? Do I have anybody make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Frank?
I'll second.
Second, Waddy. Okay, anybody have any questions or discussion that they would like to have with regards to this motion?
I just have a general question.
Sure.
Any idea how long the bridge will take to get built?
This is 9 months just to get a plan.
I know.
My guesstimate, it'd probably be at least that, if not maybe even more, to get it actually done. Okay, because you have to start filing all kinds of permits, okay? Who knows how long that will take, because you got a river involved, you got
Right.
environmental protection. So, I mean, the layer
Yeah.
of bureaucracy going down on that deal is gonna be pretty significant.
And then you gotta close off Hanson Road, I imagine.
That's the other thing. Yeah. How are they gonna manage the traffic
That's a
on
big
Hanson
artery
Road
for
while
people
work
to
is
get
going
through.
on?
If you look at where it is, I mean, it's not gonna prevent anybody from getting access to
Yeah,
their home
and
or
there,
something like
Linda,
that.
and it's,
Yeah.
You have
Go
access
either
on
way.
both sides, so it'll be a pain in the keister to lose that cut through,
Yeah.
but it's not gonna.
No one's gonna be stranded anywhere. Okay, but it will be a significant inconvenience, and it will be, I'm sure, considerable amount of cost and time. I would guesstimate at least a year from, once they get the permits, to get the work done, okay? I mean, they're just starting to work on the corner of Norotan Heights and West Avenue, and that was in the works for how long?
that's no fun either.
You know, I do wonder, again, this is orders of magnitude smaller, but you recall when they replaced the Route 1 overpass over 95 a few years ago. They built that off-site prefab,
Yep,
and they took a weekend
yep.
to pop both the pieces in.
And the one down by Rye took like 15 years, where it has the two,
Yeah.
to 287?
That's been
Literally
that
took.
Yeah, that went forever.
So I just wonder, again, there's no convenient staging area for a prefab thing in this residential area, unless Weaver wants to give up the 16th tee.
Is that what it is? It's the 16th?
I've not been invited, so I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I don't know why, Frank, so.
So I'm just saying, I guess I would encourage, I have no, again, I'm only the highest opinion of Ed and his construction knowledge, but I wonder if there are more kind of advanced construction techniques that might accelerate the build process.
Yeah, if anything can be prefabbed and then just brought in and
Pop it in.
plopped in place.
Because, I mean, the biggest challenge here is, you know, having to build it
Disruption.
in situ, right, once you have cleared everything out. I don't see any way you can accelerate the removal of the old structure, because it's stuck in there by, you know, cement and gravity.
Right.
But if you could pop something in afterwards, that was faster.
Well,
Maybe
to me, the most important part of the design, and I might even be tempted to put this in the presentation to the RTM, you tell me what you think. The most important aspect of the design is not so much the bridge itself as it is the footings.
Of course.
You know, I mean, that's what failed.
And the brook channel.
You know? The channeling of the water and the footings as it goes through underneath the bridge. I mean, that's really where the strength of the bridge comes from. You know, the bridge itself, okay, yeah, plop it on top.
Well, it's
Is that how it works?
So
Yeah, it's just plop it on
You
top.
just plop it on top.
You said it's a 15-foot bridge, but it's 30 feet wide. So it's actually less length and more width, right? So it's
Yes.
barely a bridge at all.
30 feet
Yeah.
wide.
It's barely.
Yeah, across the road.
Now, I don't know if you saw the
Break that
presentation
back
that
up,
Ed gave to the
I'll
Board of
do mine.
Selectmen, but he was saying that, you know, they're trying to pursue any sort of financial aid that could possibly be made available to the town. He pursued FEMA, but FEMA said if you can pinpoint that to a specific storm, then you might have a chance, and said, Ed was like, I can't see how I can do that. Because, I mean, it's been there since 1936. How many storms have gone through the town of Darien since 1936? So that's not an option. He mentioned Lot SIP, which was the same connection that is financing the West Avenue, Norotan Heights project. And but they're done for this year. He said he probably will approach them next year to see if there's any opportunity to try and get some aid with that. But there might be some restrictions due to the size of the bridge.
I wonder, just hypothetically, had Ian been a direct hit as a tropical storm on the area instead of a glancing blow, would we then have been able to claim that the damage, I mean, should we be hoping for a washout here?
In the meantime, you want another storm to come through?
No, I don't. I'm not praying for natural disasters. I'm just saying, I would assume that having now identified that the bridge needs remediation, there's no further opportunity to identify natural disasters that would subsequently in 2023 cause the need.
I mean, the
for
bridge is still there.
Right.
If the next storm takes it out, I think we can make a case for it.
Right. The hammer of God.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes floating down the Stony Brook,
Frank, next time there's a big storm that comes by.
You'll be going by
Let's just bang on the bridge.
It'll be control of the bridge.
In the middle of the night.
sledgehammers.
Yeah, long night.
So, yes, I think I am going to, stress that, yes, we assuming we vote in approval of the appropriation, I think I'm going to mention something to the effect of, just make sure that the plan is, a very stout plan that's going to hold up over the course of time, because we want to forestall a washout again in the future.
You got 86 years out of it. I mean, it's hard to
I
complain about
understand.
that.
I understand. All right, so any other discussion about the motion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hands. It's unanimous. Well done. Okay, new business. Does anybody have any new business, even though this is the last meeting? So it seems kind of a little bit of a conflict there. I have nothing new. I want to thank you all for the year.
Thank you for your service.
wait.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Wait. No, meeting minutes from last time.
Oh my God, you're right. All right, I sent those out at the last minute. What was it about?
Hey, he gets-
I forgot that last meeting too. He cut me last time. Now it's you. Okay, very good. I sent the minutes out. I'll be honest with you, I haven't even had a chance to read them. Do we want to vote on the minutes tonight?
Sure, I mean, they're very succinct, they're very well done.
They're well done.
Yeah, I gave it a quick glance and it looked like he really did a good job with it. The secretary there was Patrick. Okay, tonight's secretary, just for the record, is Richard. Okay, and oh, by the way, just as a footnote, that means that every member of the committee took notes for the meeting during this session.
Well
So,
planned.
thank you, everybody.
Well planned.
Thank you, everybody, for stepping up. Appreciate that.
How
all
many
right.
meetings did we have this time?
A lot.
Well, we had several special
Special
meetings
ones.
because of the Great Island. Had that not been the case, Richard probably wouldn't be taking notes tonight.
And
Okay.
we met in August, which is rare.
Right. That's right. That was that. Yeah.
So, all right, so then, you folks are all willing to vote on the approval of the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion that
Sorry,
we vote on the
I'm just
minutes?
looking at,
Jeff?
I'm just looking at it here. The attendance does not include me. I believe I was present.
And you were there.
So can I request to amend the minutes to include me in attendance?
Okay. So the minutes, we would vote on with a correction that Frank was present.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other?
So I could make that correction now,
Could you?
maybe to the Word document.
Okay.
Amazing.
I don't think Patrick would object.
Okay.
I certainly don't object.
I think we can all vote and say that he doesn't object.
Okay.
All right, any other quick comments or corrections on the minutes?
Frank, can you spell your last name for me?
Sure, last name is Edelman, that's Adelman.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Jeff, to see what reaction we get from the Rules Committee about the IT committee.
Apparently, according to your note, they said that they said, yes, it should be included. We're gonna have to figure that out.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what they figure out, let's put it that way.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, if there are no other comments or corrections, then we have had the motion to vote on it. We have a second.
Frank? did
Frank
the
seconded.
motion.
Okay, thank you.
And
Are we-
80, Isaac added 80?
Wadi.
Wadi.
Wadi
Seconded.
seconded.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then, are we ready to vote on the minutes? All those in favor of the minutes, raise your hands.
I was not at the meeting, so I'm going to abstain.
You can do that if you wish.
Oh, no, I read them, so.
Oh, you did? Well,
Yeah.
if they seem okay, you're able to vote.
Okay, yeah.
All right, that makes it unanimous.
Okay.
Well done.
Excessively scrupulous there, Mr. Foley.
Anything else? For those of you who are up for re-election, I wish you all the best. Good luck.
Good luck.
Good luck to you,
Good
Rob.
luck.
Okay.
Good luck, everybody.
And
Hope
we'll
to
see
see
what
you back.
we'll see what the election brings, and we'll pick up the pieces from there.
I
Do I have a question?
Yeah, I have a question about
So
that.
we'll
So
not be able to
after the
stand up front
election,
and
are we all
have a different-
automatically back
Yeah,
on
well,
Public Works,
never
or do
had.
they
No,
reshuffle?
All right,
the whole
just
thing?
while we're still together,
Problem is,
once the election is held, assuming you are re-elected, they're the
To the
first,
RTM.
to the RTM, the first meeting, and do they hand it out at the meeting, or is it before the meeting? I don't remember.
They hand
I think
us-
it's at the meeting.
So election day is whatever day is.
First
Our-
Tuesday.
Yeah, first Tuesday after the first Monday. Then our first meeting of the new RTM.
Yes.
Has no committee assignments, and that is the immediate following Monday where you submit your preference form.
Okay.
The rules meets the following Monday after that to assign committees.
Right.
And then we have usually it's the state of the town, isn't it?
yeah.
State of the town meeting, yes, which is actually technically
Sorry,
the
that's the
final
organization,
meeting.
sorry, it's the organizational meeting is therefore the third Monday in November.
That's when
It's the first, it's not really an RTM meeting, it's just the first time the committees meet.
right, that's more like a committee meeting more than anything else.
Right. And then state of the town is usually the second Monday, first or second Monday in.
Right, the organizational meeting is where a chairman is voted on and a
Where we
vice
select
chairman.
vice chair again, yeah.
Okay.
But do people typically stay on the same committee?
That's up to you, it's a personal decision, okay?
I see.
You fill out, I think, 3
It's
committees.
up to rules.
It's up to the
where you
rules
guys
committee.
sign.
Right, but in terms of what you submit to the rules committee, that's up to you.
If
What
you
do
want to
I?
go to a lot of meetings, go to education.
I'm not gonna do
That's
that
where I
to
was.
myself till my son's in school.
You should.
Yes.
And there's
So I just-
always finance and budget, so.
I don't think anybody wants me on finances. Let's just put it that way.
So I think, if my memory serves me, you can submit up to like 3 committees.
Yes,
that-
Excuse me,
that-
4
okay.
committees, thank you, Frank.
Okay.
And in the order of your preference, and then it goes through the rules committee, they give you your final assignment, they determine
Gotcha.
where they want you to serve. And then that committee will then meet in the organization meeting, and that's when you vote on a chairman and vice chair and go from
I
there.
thought it was just the new
So
people that.
when, just, if this is your first time through the process, right?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Second time.
Yeah.
So the way this happens really in practice is which district are you in?
4.
Okay, so the District 4 representatives to Rules Committee will make their recommendations to rules as to who in District 4 should be on what committee.
Right.
They'll of course take your preference sheets into account, they'll take, right, but they're generally gonna give the people with longer service in the RTM, regardless of committee, they're gonna give those people who are more senior
Yes.
benefit of the doubt. So if a whole bunch of people in District 4 decide, oh, I gotta get on Public Works,
Right.
right, for some reason.
Because of all.
Because it's
Because
so
we're all from our type shit.
sexy committee.
You know, it happens sometimes with education, happens sometimes with F&B, happens sometimes
Parks and
with
Rec.
Yeah.
especially for people who are like keen about Great Island.
Yeah, there's some favorite committees that a lot of people want to be on.
Gotcha.
And then there's us.
Okay.
And right, and we're gunning for favorite committee status.
Yeah,
We're gonna get there.
we're a sleeper committee, okay?
Glamour committee.
Well, once we have the internet, then it's all.
Then we control the world.
We need a theme song.
But it's really the rules
Okay.
reps from your district who will make the initial
Decide your
recommendation
fate.
as to where people are gonna go.
But I'd say they probably want to keep the same people intact on committees so that the
Right.
knowledge is still there.
Yeah.
Most people decide to re-up on their same committees, so
Right.
in practice, the amount of shifting is minimal.
Mm-hmm.
When there is more shifting, sometimes there's something a little unsavory going on that raises.
Yeah.
Flags.
Yeah, I've seen it where
I've
people have
certainly-
purposely, for 1 year, gone on a certain committee because there's a hot topic coming up,
Yes.
and they'll serve on that committee, and then they'll get out and move on to something else.
Or
Cute.
sometimes people are banished from committees for reasons that may not be germane to the matters being discussed.
Again, I want to apologize, Rolf.
Well, since you
Thank you
mentioned
for the
that, it's
education.
funny you
That's
should
good
bring it
to
up, but the Rules Committee asks for each chairman to submit a end-of-year chairman's report,
Oh.
which includes an attendance list.
Do we get evaluated? Is it?
No, I did it last year, all I did was send in the attendance, who was present, who was not. Okay, I didn't.
So some chairs do evaluate,
Okay.
and some chairs do take it on their prerogative to make recommendations to retain or cut
Wow.
committee members, and that is for a non-political body, perhaps not in the spirit of the body.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to go through a whole dissertation, I mean, I could, but I didn't last year, let's put, and I really don't
That's
plan
not
on
why I
doing that
brought
this year.
Well played.
Back on Public Works.
If anyone wants to take some home for their family, I have a couple bags. I've got
Oh, yeah.
plates, so please.
That was nice.
I can't eat all this myself.
Right,
My-
can I get a motion for adjournment?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Jeff moves, second
Paige.
Page, all in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.